If you've ever watched a 90-year-old Korean monk climb stairs faster than you with nothing but pickled radish and inner peace in their system, you might begin to suspect there's something to this whole traditional diet thing. While Western countries have been busy tweaking carbs and debating the glycemic index of sweet potatoes, large swaths of the world have been quietly aging with elegance, powered by regionally adapted diets that were developed long before quinoa was cool. From turmeric-laced Indian vegetarian dishes to Korean temple food that's more philosophy than recipe, indigenous diets are emerging as rich sources of longevity wisdom, and modern science is finally catching up. Increasingly, these non-Western dietary patterns are being studied not just for their cultural richness, but for how they stack up against global health standards like the Alternate Healthy Eating Index, AHEI, or the DASH, Dietary Approaches to Stop Hypertension diet. Spoiler, they hold up surprisingly well, and in some cases, they quietly outperform the more rigid, Western-centric nutrition guidelines. Let's start in India, where vegetarianism isn't just a dietary choice, it's often a cultural default. Indian vegetarian diets, particularly those rooted in Ayurvedic principles, prioritize fresh produce, legumes, whole grains like millet and lentils, dairy, in moderation, and a pharmacy's worth of anti-inflammatory spices. No, seriously, curcumin from turmeric, allicin from garlic, and gingerol from ginger aren't just making your food delicious, they're also reducing oxidative stress, improving circulation, and calming systemic inflammation, which is basically the molecular equivalent of getting into fewer arguments with your immune system as you age. From a biological aging standpoint, Indian vegetarian diets have been associated with lower rates of metabolic syndrome, better blood sugar control, and lower LDL cholesterol. And while these diets don't always tick every box in Western diet indices like the DASH, which tends to be dairy-heavy, or AHEI, which prefers omega-3 rich seafood over ghee, their plant-forward nature, fiber content, and spice profile give them serious anti-aging cred. In fact, the sheer diversity of plant foods consumed in a week, often more than 25 different types, may give the Indian gut microbiome a leg up in the aging race. Now, let's take a trip to a quieter corner of the world, the Korean Buddhist temple diet. This isn't your average Korean barbecue. It's a refined, ascetic culinary tradition developed by monks and nuns, deeply minimalist, strictly plant-based, and free from 5 pungent foods: onions, garlic, scallions, leeks, and chives, thought to inflame the body and mind. Instead, meals focus on fermented vegetables, mountain herbs, grains, tofu, seaweed, and a staggering number of seasonal greens, many of which don't even have English names but seem to possess magical properties like lowering blood pressure and extending lifespan by sheer virtue of being wild and unpronounceable. Scientific studies of temple food have shown promising results. One notable trial involving middle-aged Korean adults found that a temple-style diet reduced body weight, waist circumference, and inflammatory markers in just 2 weeks. Blood lipid profiles improved, and participants also reported enhanced mental clarity and sleep quality. In terms of global health metrics, it aligns with the DASH diet's goals of sodium control and whole food intake, except, it doesn't include any meat, coffee, or TikTok distractions. But the secret sauce in these diets isn't just what they include or exclude, it's how they're eaten. In both Indian and Korean traditions, meals are deeply ritualized, often eaten slowly, mindfully, and in community. That's not just spiritual fluff, it's behaviorally reinforced portion control, stress reduction, and improved digestion, all of which helps support healthier aging on a functional level, better nutrient absorption, less overeating, and reduced cortisol levels. Try getting that from a protein bar. Other regionally specific diets echo similar themes. In Ethiopia, teff-based injera and lentil stews form the basis of a low GI, fiber-rich diet that keeps insulin in check. In Thailand, indigenous diets rich in herbs like holy basil and galangal are anti-inflammatory powerhouses. In Mexico, traditional maize and bean combinations provide complete proteins without relying on meat, and the accompanying chili peppers may help lower inflammation and even boost mood. These diets all carry the common thread of minimally processed foods, diverse plant ingredients, and natural balance. No macros counting required. So how do these culturally grounded diets compare with the more clinical, one-size-fits-all Western indices? Well, the Alternate Healthy Eating Index, AHEI, developed by Harvard researchers, scores diets based on their associations with chronic disease reduction, favoring whole grains, nuts, fruits, vegetables, and healthy fats, while penalizing red meat, sugar-sweetened beverages, and trans fats. When applied globally, the AHCI often favors Mediterranean and plant-heavy Asian diets, which naturally score well due to their emphasis on legumes, unrefined grains, and unsaturated fats. The DASH diet, originally designed to reduce hypertension, also aligns well with many non-Western diets, particularly those low in sodium and rich in potassium, magnesium, and calcium. However, DASH can be rigid in its dairy recommendations and occasionally blind to cultural staples like fermented soy, spicy roots, or traditional medicinal herbs, which often have effects comparable to, or better than, pharmaceuticals for blood pressure and inflammation. What's clear is this: culturally adapted diets don't need to be westernized to be validated. They already hold the nutritional building blocks for longevity. In fact, slapping a Western framework on these diets can sometimes obscure their most powerful elements, like the spiritual mindfulness of Buddhist eating or the synergistic spice layering in Indian cooking, both of which likely affect aging through multiple, interconnected pathways: digestion, inflammation, microbiome health, even stress resilience. In policy terms, this has serious implications. Public health campaigns in non-Western countries often promote Western models of nutrition, encouraging dairy in lactose-intolerant populations or protein-heavy diets in traditionally plant-based cultures. But the real opportunity lies in protecting and promoting traditional food systems already linked with healthy aging. Empowering communities to embrace their own culinary heritage, while tweaking portions or salt levels for modern lifestyles, might be the best anti-aging strategy available. So the next time someone tells you to eat like a centenarian from Sardinia, consider this: the Korean monk sipping kelp broth or the Gujarati elder eating sprouted lentils and sipping turmeric milk may be quietly winning the longevity game. And they're doing it without counting macros, buying supplements, or watching YouTube videos on biohacking your mitochondria. They're just eating their culture.
And it's working.